Welcome to LIVEDAF, your online Daf Yomi Shiur.
Shalom Bracha, and welcome back to today's Daf Yomi Brachos Daf Nun Beis. We're on the second line. Says the Gemara, "V'savri Beishamai." Do Beishamai really hold that the Birchas Hayayim Adifa, that during Kiddush, one is meant to make the bracha, Birchas Hayayim, the bracha that relates to the sanctity of the day, that is meant to precede the Birchas Hayayin, the bracha of Pri Hagafen? Is that so? V'atanya, haven't we learned a brisa otherwise? Now the Gemara at this point holds that Havdalah is equated to Kiddush. They both have the same halacha regarding the order of the brachas. Just as during Kiddush, according to Beis Shammai, Birchas Hayayim precedes the Birchas Hayayin, so too regarding Havdalah. The Birchas Hayayim, which is the bracha of Havdalah, Amal Deshben Kodesh L'Chol, that comes before the Birchas Hayayin, the Pri Hagafen. Says the Gemara, haven't we learned the brisa, which seems to indicate that the order of the brachas are actually in the reverse? Wine is meant to come before the Yom. V'atanya nichnas lebeisi motzei Shabbos, one who enters his home on Motzei Shabbos, and he's going to make Havdalah. Says the brisa, mevorach al hayayin, first he makes the bracha hagafen on the wine, so that comes first, and then v'alamar on the flame, v'alapsam on the fragrance, v'achakach oimer Havdalah, and finally he says the bracha of Havdalah. V'im lo yekos echad. Now, if he knows that he only has one cup of wine and he hasn't yet eaten his meal, he would like to make birchas hamazon with a koshel bracha. So what is he meant to do? Says the brisa, he will go and join them together. He will make a joint ceremony of birchas hamazon with Havdalah together on the same cup of wine. So he pushes it off. He leaves the wine for after the meal, and then and he will link all them together. He will line up the other brachas after the meal, after birchas hamazon. So first will be birchas hamazon, then the yayin, ma'or, besamim, and finally Havdalah. Says the Gemara, this brisa clearly says that the yayin comes before yayin. First he begins with hagafen, and finally, all at the end, the last item is Havdalah, which is birchas hayayin. So this is a kasha, a stira, to what Beis Shammai says, that one is meant to recite first birchas hayayin and then birchas hayayin. Says, well, 1 second. Vaha mimayde Beis Shammai. How do you know this brisa of nichnas lebeisa is actually following Beis Shammai's shita? They want Beis Hillel. Perhaps it's Beis Hillel's opinion, who hold that indeed birchas hayayin is meant to precede birchas hayayin. So what's your question on Beis Shammai? Says the Gemara, lo yisal gadayta. He can't say that it's Beis Hillel and not Beis Shammai. Why? Because let's take a closer look at the brisa. The Ktani ma'or v'achach b'samim. The brisa says he's mevarach al hayayin v'alamar v'alabsamim. So first comes the ma'or, the bracha on the flame, and then comes the bracha on the b'samim. Uman shamasle, this last svara. Who's the author of this opinion? Beis Shammai. It's Beis Shammai, the Sani, as we learned. Omar Rabbi Yehuda. Now, the Gemara will bring us two versions of this machlekes between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, in the case where one is going to combine his birchas hamazon with his Havdalah, make this joint ceremony. So we have one version, one approach. If Reb Meir mentioned in our mission in the beginning of the parak, it's Reb Meir's approach to the machlekes of Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. We have another approach, another version of this same machlekes. We have Reb Yehuda's approach. It says in what the Sani, as we learned in the Brayos, Amar Reb Yehuda, lo nechleku Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, all agree, Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel both agree, that al hamazon shebetchila, that birchas hamazon is the first item to be recited. There's no argument about that. Val Havdalah shebesayif, all agree that Havdalah is the last item. What then is the machlekes? Al ma nechleku, al amar v'absamim. The dispute is only regarding ma'or and psamim. Shebeis Shammai oimim ma'or v'achach psamim. First ma'or and then psamim. Beis Hillel, I'm just the opposite. Besamim v'achach ma'or. First besamim and then ma'or. So now, according to this version of events, according to Rabbi Yehuda's presentation of the machlekes Beis Shammai Beis Hillel, who holds that ma'or comes first and then besamim? It's Beis Shammai. So apparently this brisa of anichnas lebeis motzei Shabbos, which cites ma'or before besamim, is following the sheet of Beis Shammai. So 1 second. Why is it necessarily so? Umimai de Beis Shammai hivali Rabbi Yehuda. How do you know to connect this brisa of anichnas lebeis to the sheet of Beis Shammai in accordance to Rabbi Yehuda's version? Perhaps we have another suggestion. Perhaps it's following Beis Hillel's view. According to Rameya's version, Rameya holds that this indeed is Rabbi Hillel's Shita, that first comes Mar, and then comes Samim. We'll take a look at our Mishnah. The Mishnah says that Beis Hillel Oimrim Ner uBesamim uMazon v'Avdala. So this is Rameya's version of the Machlokes B'Sham Beis Hillel in the case when one makes a joint ceremony of Birchas Hamazon with Havdalah. What is the Shita Beis Hillel? First Ner and then Besamim. So certainly this Brayso of Nichas L'Beisai, of course it could be following Beis Hillel's Shita, according to the version of Rameya. So you have no reason, you have no grounds to connect this Brayso of Nichas L'Beisai to Beis Shammai, therefore you have no Kasha on Beis Shammai. So there's Malay Sakadato. You can't say that either. Why? Diktani Yachav Masnissen. Because by us in our Mishnah, what does it say? Meaning, what is Reb Meir's presentation of the Machlokes B'Sham Beis Hillel? It says as follows: Beis Shammai Oimrim Ner uMazon uBesamim v'Havdalah. Beis Hillel Oimrim Ner uBesamim Mazon v'Havdalah. So according to Reb Meir's approach, according to Reb Meir's version of events, all agree, Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel both agree. What is the first item? The first bracha is Ner. What is the final item? Havdalah. The Machlokes is regarding Mazon and Psamim. Beis Shammai say Mazon, then Psamim. Beis Hillel say Psamim and then Mazon. Now, if so, let's take a look at the Brayso. You want to suggest that the Brayso of Nichas L'Beisai will be following Beis Hillel's Shita according to Rameya's version. Let's take a close look at the Brayso. V'hasam Brayso Gatani. What does it say in the Brayso? In the latter part of the Brayso it says, if he only has one cup, he waits for after the meal, and he links everything, he lines everything up after Birchas Hamazon. So first comes Birchas Hamazon, and then comes everything else. Apparently, this is not Rameir's version of events. According to Rameir, Mazon is never in the beginning. According to Rameir, all agree, Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel both agree, that Mazon is never the first item to be recited. So apparently this Brayso can't be following Reb Meir's Shita. It can't be going along with Reb Meir's version of events. Apparently it's following Reb Yehuda's version of events. Reb Yehuda holds that all agree that Mazon is the first item to be recited. So therefore this Brayso, which says Mazon comes first, certainly it's following Reb Yehuda's version. Now, within Reb Yehuda, which Shita is this based on? Is it Beis Shammai Beis Hillel? Certainly it's Beis Shammai. Why? As we mentioned earlier, because the Brayso of Nichas L'Beisai tells us, Mazon comes first, then Yain, then Mar, and then Psamim. First Mar, and then Psamim. And this indeed is Shitas Beis Shammai. So once again, to summarize the Gemara, we have two approaches, two presentations of the Machlokes Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel in the event where one combines the Birchas Hamazon with the Havdalah together in one ceremony. We have Reb Meir's approach, Reb Meir, which is cited in our Mishnah, who holds that all agree, Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel both agree, that Ner is the first item, Havdalah is the last item. The Machlokes is merely regarding Mazon and Besamim. According to Beis Shammai, it's Mazon and then Besamim. According to Beis Hillel, just the opposite. We have Reb Yehuda's presentation. Reb Yehuda holds that all agree that the first item is Mazon. The last bracha is Havdalah. The Machlokes between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel is regarding the Mar and the Besamim. According to Beis Shammai, the Mar comes first and then the Besamim. According to Beis Hillel, first the Besamim and then the Mar. Now, regarding the Brayso of Anichnas L'Beisai Motzei Shabbos, where the Brayso lists the order as follows: first Mazon, then Yain, Mar, Besamim, and Havdalah. Apparently, this is following the Shita of Beis Shammai according to Reb Yehuda, who holds that Mazon is the first item, Havdalah is the last item. And why is Mar before Besamim? Because this is Shitas Beis Shammai. If so, says the Gemara, according to this conclusion, kasha, now we have a very, very strong kasha, because we have a stira contradiction in Beis Shammai. We have Beis Shammai in our Mishnah, which tells us that when we have a choice of Birchas Hayoim and Birchas Hayayin, the bracha that relates to the Kedushas Hayoim and the bracha of Hagafen on the wine, what comes first? Beis Shammai holds the Birchas Hayayin comes first. And in this Brayso of Anichnas L'Beisai Motzei Shabbos, which is following the Shita Beis Shammai, what does it say? What comes first? Yain or Yaim? The Brayso says the first item is Yain, and only at the end is Havdalah, which is Birchas Hayayin. Mekom kasha, it's a contradiction. Says the Gemara, Kasavri Beis Shammai will hold, you equated Kiddush to Havdalah. We must make a distinction There's a big difference between the two. Shani Iyula Yom Afuka Yom is different between Kiddush and Havdalah. There's a difference between bringing in the day Iyula Yom Kiddush, which is on the onset of Shabbos. You're bringing in the Kiddush of Shabbos. That is different than Havdalah, which is Me'afuka Yom, from Havdalah, which departs, which is a departing of Shabbos. It's taking out the day. It's removing Kiddush of Shabbos. Explains it more. Iyula Yom, when we're bringing in the day, when we're ushering Shabbos, the earlier we do it, the better. Therefore, in that case, it makes sense to do Kiddush Hayom first. However, Afuka Yoma, when we depart from Shabbos, the longer we delay, the better. Therefore, even according to Beis Shammai, by Havdalah, we're meant to delay the bracha of Havdalah until the end, until the very end. In that case, Beis Shammai agree that Yayin will come first and Havdalah will be left for later, because we want to delay the departing of Shabbos. Why? So that it doesn't appear that Shabbos is like a burden on us. We're trying to relieve ourselves of the burden. Therefore, we wait, we delay with the bracha of Havdalah. Continues the Gemara. Okay, so we have a discussion regarding a Birchas Hamazon together with Havdalah. Apparently, Beis Shammai hold. Beis Shammai maintain that one is meant to make Birchas Hamazon on a cup of wine and a kosher bracha. Is that so? V'savri Beis Shammai. Birchas Hamazon to una kos, that Birchas Hamazon requires a cup. V'tnan, we've learned, Balahem yain lachar Hamazon. If they were served wine after the meal, meaning before Birchas Hamazon, and he would like to drink the wine, Im ein shem kos elohu, if there's only one cup of wine available, Beis Shammai mivarach al yain. First he makes a bracha agafen on the wine, and then he benches. Apparently, says the Gemara, my love, don't he makes a bracha on agafen, he drinks it, and then he proceeds with Birchas Hamazon with to add a kais shel yain. So we see that it's not a requirement. Says the Gemara, no, loy, that's not the true interpretation. What the Mishnah means is he makes a bracha agafen on the wine, but then he leaves it for Birchas Hamazon, so that he can make Birchas Hamazon with a cup of wine. Says the Gemara, how can one make a bracha without tasting it? Haven't we learned? He's meant to taste it. Says the Gemara, the time later, right, he tastes it. But he can still leave it over for Birchas Hamazon. He just tastes a little bit. We learned that if one tastes the cup of wine, pagma, he makes it a pagma, it gives it a blemish. And it can't be used anymore for Birchas Hamazon. Says the Gemara, simple solution. He tastes it by spilling a bit into his hand, and he tastes it from there. He doesn't actually taste it from the cup. So he's not paigim the wine, he can still use it for Birchas Hamazon. Says the Gemara, haven't we learned shiur, that a kosher bracha requires a specific shiur. By tasting it, he minimizes the shiur, and now he doesn't have the required amount of Birchas Hamazon. Says the Gemara, that too is not a problem. The nafish, like Tlamud Shiur, he started off with more than a required amount, which allows him to taste it, and still leaves enough available for the Birchas Hamazon. So the Gemara, that's so? He had more than the required amount. The Mishnah clearly says that he only has one cup of wine. Apparently he doesn't have any extra. Says the Gemara, Trei havi. He didn't have enough for two. But he had a bit more than the minimum requirement. So he had a bit more, and that little bit more he can taste after he makes the agafen, and leave the rest over for kosher bracha of Birchas Hamazon, which is indeed the required amount for the kosher bracha. So at this point in the Gemara, Beis Shammai certainly holds that a Birchas Hamazon is ton kos, requires a kos. In the case when he only has one available, so he can make the bracha and taste a bit, and leave the rest over for Birchas Hamazon. Says, what is that so? He drinks the wine, and then proceeds to Birchas Hamazon. Apparently, Beis Shammai do not require a kosher bracha of Birchas Hamazon. Says the Gemara, Ella, rather you must say Trei Tanoi v'aliba de Beis Shammai. There indeed are two opinions according to Beis Shammai. There's Rav Chia who holds that Beis Shammai don't require a kosher bracha of Birchas Hamazon. However, the Tana of our Mishnah indeed holds that, according to Beis Shammai, a kosher bracha is required for Birchas Hamazon. And certainly, he should not drink the wine prior to Brachos HaMazon, but rather he should leave it over so that he has a kosher bracha when he benches. So, in summary, Aliba de Beis Shammai, what is the Shita of Beis Shammai? So, according to Rabbi Yehuda's version of events, Rabbi Yehuda holds that Beis Shammai's sequence is as follows: first Mazon, then Mar B'Samim, and then Havdalah. The Brisa which says Hanichas lebeis Motzei Shabbos, he's meant to proceed as follows: when he had his meal, he's meant to say Mazon first, then Yain, Mar, B'Samim, and Havdalah. Apparently, this is following Beis Shammai's opinion. Now, regarding the requirement for a kosher bracha by Brachos HaMazon, according to this Brisa, certainly Beis Shammai requires a kosher Brachos HaMazon. However, according to Rav Chia, it is not required. According to Rav Chia, Brachos HaMazon, Eina Te'una Kos, one may drink the wine and then proceed with Brachos HaMazon without a kosher bracha. Now, Tosfos asks a kasha on the Brisa before: how is he allowed to have his meal before Havdalah? Tosfos has a whole discussion and concludes, and he says that this is different. It's different than just plain eating before Havdalah. It says Tosfos, Hachashani, it's different. The kasava Brachos HaMazon Te'una Kos, because this Brisa holds the Brachos HaMazon requires a kosher bracha. Ulakach manichai the Brachos HaMazon. Therefore, he should leave the kos for Brachos HaMazon. And since Brachos HaMazon requires a kos, he shouldn't merely make Havdalah and then eat. He should wait with his Havdalah after his meal, when he could do the Brachos HaMazon with a kos and join it together with the Havdalah ceremony as we described earlier. Continues the Gemara. Beis Shammai oimrim Tana Rabbanan, we learned on the Brisa. Beis Shammai oimrim noitmun la'yadayim va'achar kach moizgim es hakos. First, one washes his hands for the meal, and then they pour him the cup of wine and he drinks it. Why in this manner? Why in this order? First until Sedayim and then drink the wine. Says the Gemara, if you maintain that one will do it in the reverse, first he will pour himself a cup and drink it, and only then wash his hands until Sedayim to be matir his hands for the meal, there's a problem with that. What is the problem? Gzeira, there's a concern. Shema, yitamu mashkin shachar yakos. Perhaps the mashkin that are present, the liquid that is present on the back of the cup, perhaps there's some liquid there, and that will become tameh, will contract a tumah, machmas yadav, through his hands that are not yet tar. He hasn't yet washed his hands. His hands have a din of a sheni l'tumah. The Rabbanan applied a tumah of sheni l'tumah to one's hands prior to washing them. So if he doesn't wash his hands, he can be metamei the mashkim that are present on the side of the cup. And what's wrong with that? V'yachzor v'yitamos hakos. And then this mashkim that becomes tummy, this liquid that becomes tummy through one's hands, will in turn go ahead and transfer tumah to the actual kos, to the cup itself. And then he will be using a cup which is tamei during his meal, and one may not do so, as the Gemara will explain later. Therefore, Beis Shammai say, first one is meant to wash his hands, to do Netil Sedayim, to matir his hands, and then go ahead and pour himself the wine and drink the wine with hands that are tar. Okay, says the Gemara, just 1 second. Let's analyze these words. Beis Shammai say, there's a concern if he doesn't wash his hands, then he might be metame the liquid that is present on the back of the cup, and the liquid will go ahead and be metame the cup. Says the Gemara, why do you need the liquid in between? If his hands are tamei, the hands itself will be metame the kos. Says the Gemara, that won't work. That won't happen, because yodayim shniyasim. Yodayim have a din of a sheni l'tumah, and a sheni l'tumah can't be metame the kos directly. Now we know that there are different levels of tumah. There's an ava tumah, the source of tumah, like a nevela, that animal. If something comes into contact with a ava tumah, it becomes a rishon tumah, that is a downgraded level of tumah, the first degree tumah. Now, if a rishon tumah will touch something else, food or drink, that will become a sheni tumah, a lower level of tumah. Now we know that a person or a utensil, adam v'kelim, can only become tamei from a ava tumah. Therefore, says the Gemara, this person with his hands that are merely sheni l'tumah, the Chacham established, applied a tumah of sheni l'tumah to one's hands prior to washing them from Netilas Yadayim. His sheni l'tumah hands can't be matamei kois. Says the Gemara, Yadayim shniyaisein ve'ein shnei oisei shlishi b'chulin elei de mashkim. A sheni can't make a shlishi when it is chulin, only through the medium of mashkim, of liquid. Meaning that we have the av, the source, which carries over to the rishon, which carries over to the sheni, and it stops there. It doesn't go past sheni when we are dealing with chulin. The Gemara later will explain that regarding truma can become a shlishi as well. But a sheni cannot go, a chulin cannot go past a sheni. When it is a non-truma item, the most it will go to is a sheni. And certainly the yadayim that are sheni, they can't be matame a kli. They can't make the kli into a shlishi. Therefore the yadayim will not be matame the kli any longer. The only way that it could happen is through mashkim. Why? Because the Rabbanim, the Chachamim, made an exception to the rule. Although ordinarily a av makes a rishon makes a sheni, and it stops there. There is an exception of mashkim liquids, those 7 liquids, water, wine, etc. Those shiva mashkim, they have a special status. The Chacham said that mashkim that become tummy, even if they're only a sheni l'tumah, we regard them as a rishon l'tumah. They have the status of a rishon l'tumah. Why? It's a gzeira because there are some liquids that have really a status of a avatuma. For instance, the saliva of a zav has a din of avatuma and can be metame a kli. Therefore, the Chachamim applied a more stringent tumah to these liquids and regarded them as a rishon l'tumah, and they in turn could go be metame a kli. Although ordinarily a kli cannot become metame only from an avatuma, not a rishon l'tumah. However, the Chachamim made an exception once again. They said that a liquid, a mashkim, not only does it have a more stringent level of tumah, it is considered to be always a rishon l'tumah. That's one exception to the rule. The second exception to the rule is that a mashkin, which has a status of rishon l'tumah, can go ahead and be metame a kli. So once again, there's an avatuma, the source of tumah, which carries over to a rishon l'tumah, which carries over to a sheni l'tumah, and stops there if it's chulin. If it's truma, it can carry over to become a shlishi. Now, there are 2 exceptions regarding mashkim, liquids. Mashkim are always considered to be a rishon l'tumah midrabanan. The second exception is that although ordinarily a person or utensil, adam v'kelim, can only become tamei from an avatuma, not from a rishon, certainly not from a sheni, there is an exception to the rule that is regarding mashkin. A liquid, which as we just mentioned has always the status of a rishon l'tumah, it can go ahead and be tamei, even a kli, and make it into a sheni. So that explains this Gemara. Beishamai say, wash your hands before you touch the cup. Why? Because perhaps there are mashkim there. There's a liquid there. The yadayim that are sheni will be mitame the mashkim. Now the liquid will become a rishon. The Rabbanan. The rishon, the mashkim that are rishon, can in turn go ahead and be mitame the kli when it comes into contact with the kli and make the kli into a sheni, thereby making the cup tamei. And one is not allowed to use a cup which is tamei during his meal. Says the Gemara once again, Yadayim shniyasem. Yadayim have a din of a sheni l'tumah. Ve'in sheni yoseh shlishi b'chulin. A sheni can't pass on tumah, can't make a shlishi. Ella, there's one exception, Ella de mashkim, through the medium of mashkim. Therefore, when his yadayim will touch the mashkim, they will become a rishon, and they will be metame the kli, and the kli will become tamei. And one may not use a kli that is tamei, according to Beishamai. Therefore, wash your hands first. So that explains the opinion of Beishamai. Ubesilam, no, it's not a concern. First, pour the wine, drink the wine. Afterwards, only then wash your hands. Why? Because according to Beis Hillel, there's a concern in the reverse, as he will explain. Because if you will hold that one is meant to wash his hands first, he will wash his Netilas Yadayim for the meal before he drinks the wine. Now we have a gzeira, we have a concern as follows. Gzeira shemiyat hama mashkin shiyadayim machmas hakois. Perhaps he's using a kais which is tummy, since one is allowed to use a kais which is tummy during the meal, as the Gemara will explain later. So perhaps he's using such a kais, and if you require him to wash his hands until Sedayim, perhaps there's some remnants of water on his hands. He has mashkim on his hands, and now what will happen when he handles this kais which is tummy? Yitamu mashkim should be a daim. The liquid on his hands will become tummy machmasa kais by coming into contact with the kais which is tummy. And what will happen then? And the mashkim, the water on his hands, which just became tummy from the kais, what happens to them? They become a stringent tumah. They become a rishon tumah. As we mentioned earlier, the Chachamim applied a more stringent tumah to mashkim. So now that the water on his hand became a rishon tumah, it's going to go ahead and be metami the hands. Metami his hands, make his hands a sheni tumah. And this will invalidate his Netilas Yadayim. It defeats the purpose. What's the point of washing your hand before handling the cup, when it might result in his hands becoming tamei, which will invalidate Netilas Yadayim? Therefore, better drink the wine first, and put that behind you, and then go ahead and proceed with Netilas Yadayim for the meal. Says, well, okay, we understand, but let's just analyze these words. You're concerned that the cup, which is tummy, will be metami the mashkim on his hands, which in turn will pass on the tumah to his hands. Why do you need the medium of the mashkim, the intermediary? Why do you need the water there? If the kais is tummy, then the concern is very direct. The kais will metami his hands. And if so, what are you gaining by pushing off until Sedayim, until later, after he already drank the wine? So let's say he washes later, and then during the meal, he's going to use this same cup again. At this point, the cup again will be metame his hands. So what do you gain by doing until Sedayim later? The cup itself will be metame his hands later on during the meal. Says the Gemara, Ein kli metame adam. This kli, which is a sheni l'tumah, will not be metame the hands of a person. It doesn't have the power to do so. Therefore, it's only on account of the mashkim that are present on his hands that his hands could become tummy when the kais is metame the mashkim, which makes the mashkim into a rishon, which in turn is metame his hands to make it into a sheni. So that explains Beis Hillel. Says the Gemara, Beis Hillel indicated that one will use a cup which is tummy during the meal. How can he do so? The kli will be metame its contents, the liquids that are inside the kli, and he'll be drinking mashkim that are tamei. Says Gemara, no. Hacha, we're speaking about a specific type of kli that became tamei with a specific type of tumah. We're speaking about a kli that became a tamei tumah d'Rabbanan through touching, coming into contact with mashkim that are tamei, that are a rishon d'Rabbanan. As we mentioned, that liquids attain the higher status of a rishon l'tumah midrabanan. Now, a kli that comes into contact with this mashkin, me'achirav, on the back of the kli, in this case, only the back is tamei and not the inside. Why? Because this tumah is merely midrabanan. Because the fact that we regard mashkim in this higher degree of tumah, we regard them as a rishon l'tumah and give them the ability to be tamei kli, that is merely midrabanan. And therefore the Rabbanan applied leniencies to this. And in the case where the mashkim was metame the kli me'achar from behind, only the back is tamei and not the inside. Therefore, the contents will still be tar. Explains the Gemara. We're speaking about a kli whose back came into contact with mashkim that are tamei. The toichay tar, but the inside remains tar. The gabay tamei, and the back is tamei. This is not as we learned. Kli shenit ma'achar v'mashkim achar of tmeim. The back is tamei, but toichay, the inside, v'oignai, and its ear-shaped handle, v'oznai, its rim that is curled outwardly and it could be used on its own, v'yadav, its straight handle, tahir. So all the other parts of the kli retain their purity, are still tahir. Only the back, the achir of the kli is tamei. However, nitma toichay, but if the inside of the kli became tamei through mashkim, in that case, the tumah extends to the entire kli. We don't differentiate. It touched the main part of the kli, so the whole kli becomes tamei. So once again, this explains the halacha mentioned earlier. a kli that is tamei on account of it having come into contact with mashkim that are tamei. The mashkim touched its acher of its back. Only the acharayim becomes tamei. Since this is only a tumah midrabanan, we're speaking about mashkim that are considered to be a rishon tumah midrabanan. Therefore, only the back is tamei with the inside, and the contents will remain tar. Okay, so now we have a framework, an introduction to the machlekes of Bisham Mesil. Bisham hold, first you wash your hands so that you aren't mithamei the kli. According to Beis Hillel, wash your hands only later, so that the kli which is tummy won't be mithamei your hands. Wait until the time until you finish drinking. Do away with this kli that is tummy, and then wash your hands and proceed with your meal. Why? Because the kli that is tummy perhaps has liquid on its outside, because the kli that is tummy will be matame perhaps the liquid that is on his hands and be matame the person. Therefore, first drink, then wash your hands and proceed with the meal. Now during the meal, apparently, Beis Hillel holds you can use this kli which is tummy. As Rashi explains, we're not concerned that his hands will be wet during the meal, so there's no concern that the kli be matame the person. So we have a framework for the machlekes b'sham Yisrael. But what is that based on? Says the word, but my kamiflik, what is the root of this machlekes? B'sham sabri also l'shtamesh b'kli shnit machay v'mashkin. B'sham hold that one is not allowed to use a kli whose back became tummy through mashkin, and therefore B'sham holds that first be matar your hands, be noitel yadayim, make sure your hands are tar before handling this cup. Don't be matame the cup, because you cannot use a cup that is tummy during the meal. Why not? Says the Gemara, we're concerned about the droplets. If the kli will be tummy, then perhaps there will be droplets of the liquid which will land on the outside of the kli, and the outside which is tummy will be tummy those nitzotzos. And now that those nitzotzos, those droplets of liquids become tummy, they attain a higher status to become a rishon l'tumah, and they in turn will be matami the hands that come into contact with them and invalidate his netilas yadayim. Therefore, to sum it up, according to Beis Shammai, don't use a kli that became tummy achirav, the back of it, through mashkim. Therefore, v'lekel migzar shema yitmu amashkim should be a daim b'kois. Now this explains Beis Shammai. Why was Beis Shammai not concerned with Beis Hillel's concern that perhaps the kli will be matame his hands? If he washes his hands first, there will be a remnant of water on his hands which will become tummy through the kli that is tummy. No, you can't use such a kli. Therefore, it's not around. It's not something to reckon with. Again, migzar. There's no room to be geizer shema yitmu amashkin. Perhaps the mashkim in his hands will become tummy through the kais. There's no concern. Therefore, Beis Shammai maintain the preferred way to do it is wash your hands, make your hands tar, so that you're not matame the kli, because you can't use a kli that is tummy during the meal. But they're not concerned with Beis Hillel's chashash that the kli will be matame the remnants of netilas yadayim, because you can't use a kli that is tummy. So that fully explains Beis Shammai's opinion, why they have their concern but not Beis Hillel's concern. Explains the Gemara, Beis Hillel sabri, Beis Hillel hold in the reverse. One may use this kli that became tummy and tumah d'Rabbanan by contacting mashkim from its back. Why? They're not concerned with these droplets. Amri, they say it's not common to have these droplets, therefore there's no concern in using, there's no problem in using a kli which is tummy me'achirav. There's no concern of droplets landing there and becoming tamei and then going and being tamei the hands. There's no concern. Therefore, you may use a kli which is tamei b'mashkim achirav. So Beis Shammai's concern is not a concern, meaning we're not concerned with his hands being tamei the kli. The only concern is in the reverse. This kli that he's using, this tamei kli that he's using, that he's allowed to use, will be tamei his hands if he washes his hands first. What is the concern? Shema yitama mashlim shu yadayim machmas hakois. If he washes first, he'll have remnants of water on his hands, and the kli which is tummy will be tummy the water, and in turn will be tummy his hands, and invalidate his netilas yadayim. So that is the background of Beis Hillel. Another reason for Beis Hillel. One is meant to eat immediately following netilas yadayim without interruption. Therefore, Beis Hillel maintain that one is meant to wash netilas yadayim immediately, right before the meal. Don't interrupt with drinking wine. So why do you need another reason? This is what Beis Hillel is saying to Beis Shammai. According to you, the Amrisa that you say, you maintain you may not use this tamei kli. Why? The gazrinam shemin we're concerned about the droplets. So even according to you, granted, let's say this is a concern. Even so, ha'adifa. It is better to wash later. The takev l'ntilas yadayim sud. This is halacha. That the ntilas yadayim is meant to be immediately, right next to, in close proximity to the meal. Therefore, your chashash, your concern about the droplets being present and bringing about tumah to the hands, perhaps that's a concern, but it doesn't measure up. It doesn't equate in its severity, in its significance, to the halacha of takev l'ntilas yadayim suda. Therefore, certainly, one should first drink, then proceed with ntilas yadayim, and then immediately following with the suda. So in conclusion, Beis Shammai holds, first you wash your hands and then you moizik the kais. Why? It's a two-step process, a two-step argument. Number one, Beis Shammai hold is asur l'ishtamesh b'kli shenitra achayv v'mashkin. We may not use this tamei kli. Why? Because of the nitzotzos that might be present on the back of the kli, which will be metamei his hands. So one may not use this kli that is tamei. And if so, the proper sequence is first noitin yadayim. First, be metar your hands so that they don't go be metamei the mashkim, which is found on the side of the kais, and in turn those mashkim will be metamei the kais. Therefore, one is meant to wash his hands first and then drink the wine. According to Beis Hillel, it's just the opposite. Beis Hillel hold first moizgen hakais and then noitin yadayim. Why? It's a three-step argument. Number one, they hold mutar l'shtamish in this kli shenitra achayv. They're not concerned with those droplets. It's not common. Therefore, since we're allowed to use a kli that's tamei, that became tamei and tumah d'Rabbanan, therefore the proper way is first to drink. First moizgen. Why? Perhaps he's using this type of kli that's tamei, and if he washes his hands first, we're concerned that the kli will be metamei the leftover water on his hands and will metamei his hands and will invalidate his ntilas yadayim. Therefore, one is first meant to drink. Do away with that, and then wash your hands for ntilas yadayim. Number three, Beis Hillel say, is halacha. Takev ntilas yadayim suda. One is not meant to interrupt between ntilas yadayim and the meal. Therefore, first drink, then wash your hands, and then proceed with the meal. Continues the Gemara, Beis Shammai oimrim tanu rabbanon. Beis Shammai oimrim mekaneach yodav b'mapa. One dries his hands in the towel, umaneich al hashulchan, and places it on the table. Sh'ima to'imar la keses. If you propose that he should place it on the cushion, there's a problem. Gezerah, we have a concern. Shema yitamu mashkin shebamapa machmas hakeses, that the liquid contained inside this wet towel will contract tumah, will receive tumah on account of it coming into contact with the pillow, with the keses that is tamei. Shema yitamu mashkin shebamapa machmas hakeses. And what will happen? What's so bad? V'yachzru v'yitamu hayadayim. And then when he uses this towel throughout the meal, the liquids inside the towel, which is now a rishon l'tumah, as we said earlier, liquid that becomes tummy always becomes a rishon l'tumah. So the rishon l'tumah will now be metamei's hands and make them a sheni, and this will invalidate his ntilas yadayim. So therefore, place it on the table, which the table is certainly tar, and will not be metamei the mapa or its liquid. So okay, we understand. But why did Beis Shammai need to say it in this roundabout fashion? That the concern is that the pillow will be metami the liquid, which will be metami his hands. Why don't you go more direct? V'nitzmai keses lamapa. Why can't the keses be metami the mapa directly without the medium of the liquids, of the moisture found inside the towel? Says more, that won't happen because ein kli metami kli, a kli which is not an avatuma, will never be metami another kli. Therefore, the keses, which is not an avatuma, perhaps it's a rishon l'tumah, so that cannot be metame the mapa, which is considered to be a kli. Therefore, only through the medium of the mashkim can there be a tumah. When the keses transfers tumah into the mashkim, which become a rishon, and that gets transferred over to the hands, which become a sheni. Says the Gemara, keses legaver gufei. Why do you need a towel with a liquid? The keses will be metame the person directly. Says the Gemara once again, ein kli metame adam. a kli which is not an avatuma cannot be matame a person. And therefore, the keses, which is not an avatuma, can't be matame the person. It's only through the medium of this procedure with the mashkim that the person can become tameh. Rashi points out, although midrabanan, if one touches even a rishon l'tuma, his hands become tameh, tumas yadayim. Says Rashi, so make sure not to touch it with his hands, and avoid that tumas yadayim. So there's no concern about the keses being matame the person directly. It is only through the water, and therefore place the towel on the table, which avoids this whole concern. So that explains Beis Shammai. Ubeis Hillel, you should place the towel ala keses, specifically on the cushion. Why? If you place it on the table, gzeira, there's a concern. There's a concern for tumah there. Shema yitamu mashkin shema machmas shulchan. Since the table itself might be tummy, might be a sheni l'tumah. So if you place the wet towel on the table, what's going to happen? The shulchan will be metame, the moisture found in the towel, the yachzer tamas ha'oichlin, and then that in turn will be metame, the food on the table. So don't place this wet towel, this towel on the table, because it might be wet and it might become tameh and be metame the oichlin. Says the Gemara, why does Beis Hillel need to say it in this roundabout way? The table will be metame the moisture, will be metame the oichlin. The table should directly be metame the food that is placed on it. Says the Gemara, that's never a concern. Since we're speaking about a shulchan which has a din of a sheni l'tumah, and we know that a sheni doesn't pass on tumah if it's chulin. It starts with av to rishon over to sheni and stops right there. Therefore, the shulchan, which is merely a sheni, cannot be matame the food or the beverages which is found on it, because ve'ein sheni ois shlishi b'chulin. The only way it can be matame the food is elai de mashkim, through the medium of liquid, and therefore, although the table won't be matame the food directly, but it can be matame the food by means of transferring the tumah through the mashkim that is found in this wet towel. So don't place the towel on the table, because the table might be matame the liquid, which becomes now a rishon l'tumah. As I mentioned earlier, liquids become a din of rishon l'tumah d'Rabbanan. Therefore, that in turn can go be matame the oichlin and mashkim, make them a sheni l'tumah. Says, okay, we have a presentation, but what is the root of their machlokes? But my kamiflagi Beis Shammai sabri also l'shtamish b'shulchan sheni. One is not permitted to use a shulchan which is a sheni l'tumah, gzeira mishum oichle truma, because we're concerned about the kohanim that eat truma, and as we know, truma can become tamei from a sheni l'tumah. Truma can become a shlishi. Therefore, generally speaking, we don't allow a person, even a Yisrael who's not eating truma, we don't allow him to use a table which is tamei, which is a sheni l'tumah. Therefore, according to Beis Shammai, this man's table certainly is tar. It's not tamei. Therefore, place the towel on the table where it won't become tamei, rather than placing it on the keses, on the cushion, which might be tamei. Beis Hillel hold, no, mutar l'shtamish b'shulchan sheni. We're allowed to use a table which is a sheni l'tumah. The ones that eat truma, the kahanim, are conscientious, and therefore we're not concerned about their food becoming tamei. They're careful. Therefore, one is allowed to use a table which is a sheni l'tumah, since by chulin there will be no tumah here, because the sheni doesn't make a shlishi by chulin. So based on this machlokes, which is the root of their machlokes earlier, again, according to Beis Shammai, one may not use a table which is tamei, and according to Beis Hillel, one may use a table which is tamei. Based on this, we understand their earlier machlokes. According to Beis Shammai, the table will be tar, therefore place the towel on the table rather than on the keses, on the cushion, which might be tamei. According to Beis Hillel, the reverse. The table might be tamei, therefore place it on the cushion. Continues the Gemara Davar Achar, another reason for Beis Hillel. There's no source for the obligation to wash one's hands prior to eating chulin. There's no source in the Torah. So why do we need another reason for Beis Hillel? This is what they mean to tell Beis Shammai. If you will counter and you will say as follows: I instruct the person to put the towel on the cushion, not on the table. Don't put it on the table; it might become tamei and be metame the oichlin. Why are you concerned regarding tumah for oichlin? Why are you not concerned regarding putting the towel on the cushion, where it could become tamei from the cushion, and then in turn the liquid contained in the towel could become tamei's hands. Why are you not concerned about that? Meaning, you're avoiding the tum of the oichlim, but you're not addressing the tum of the yadayim. Meaning, according to Beis Shammai, we're avoiding tumah altogether. Place it on the table where there's no possibility of tumah, and thereby you are avoiding any possibility of becoming tamei. According to Beis Hillel, okay, so he doesn't put it on the table. He doesn't want to be matama the oichlim, so he's avoiding tumas oichlim. But by placing it on the cushion, he might encounter tumas yadayim, because the cushion might be tamei, might be matama the towel, which might be matama the person's hands. Says Beis Hillel, afilu hochi. Even so, hadifa, this is better. Better place it on the cushion and avoid tumas oichlim, because that's our primary concern. Dein until sedayim mechol ma'Torah. Until sedayim for chulin doesn't have a source from the Torah, and therefore mutav, it is good, it is okay. Sheyitmu yadayim less likum deraisa, that hands should become tamei, since the obligation to wash one's hands has no source from deraisa. Mutav sheyitamu yadayim, the less likum deraisa, is better that the hands become tamei, since the tumas yadayim have no ikum deraisa, not source in the Torah. And as long as you avoid the tumas oichlim, avoid placing it on the table, which might result in tumas oichlim, because valitamu tumas oichlim. As long as you avoid tumas oichlim, the islu ikum deraisa, because the concept of tumah by food is a source in the Torah, and therefore that is more important. That is our primary concern. We're not concerned with the hands becoming tamei. We're concerned only with the food becoming tamei. Therefore, don't put the towel on the table, and don't result in the food becoming tamei. So in conclusion, according to Beis Shammai, you are maniach the mappa on the shulchan. Why? Because number one, it is asur lishtamish b'shulchan sheni. One may not use a shulchan that is tamei because of truma, and therefore, since the table is tamei, put the mappa on the table so that where it remains tar. Don't put it on the keses where it might get tuma from the mappa and be metamei his hands. According to Beis Hillel, it's just the opposite. Put the mappa on the keses, because they hold, number one, you're allowed to use the table which is tamei. We're not concerned with the Kehanim who are conscientious. Therefore, the shulchan, which is sheni, might be metame the towel. Therefore, put the towel on the keses and not on the shulchan, where it might get tamei from the shulchan and be metame the oichlin. They're only concerned with tumas oichlin, which has a source in the Torah, and not regarding tumas yadayim. Continues the Gemara, Beis Shammai oimrim mechabdin, Tana Rabbanan. Beis Shammai oimrim mechabdin es habayis. First you sweep away the food remnants, va'achakach noitin le'yadayim, and afterwards you wash ma'im achronim. Why? Because if you wash first, nimtza, this may result in nimtza to mafset to. You may ruin the food. The remnants that are present, they will get sprayed by the ma'im achronim and get ruined. Aval in the Tel Sadayim b'shamay tchila, to wash the Tel Sadayim first, lo yisviru b'shamay, hold that is not meant to do so. My time of why misham pirun, on account of the food remnants. Ubesil, no, that's not a concern. Why? If you're using the services of a shamash tamad chacham, a servant who is knowledgeable, in that case, he'll remove the pirurin who noitel im shamash tamad chacham who noitel pirurin sheishon kazayis. He certainly will know to remove, to clean up those larger food remnants, the pirurin, the crumbs that are as the size of a kazayis. Umanech pirurin sheimem kazayis. He will leave over the smaller ones that don't have a kazayis, and we're not concerned about them. So since he removes those larger pieces of food, so certainly it's okay. One should wash his hands prior to cleaning up, because the food remnants won't be present during Tel Sedayim. Says more, this difference between various sizes of remnants is a raya, as Messiah Rav Yochanan. Don't Rav Yochanan, pirun she'emam kazayis. These small crumbs that don't contain the size of a kazayis, mutar la'abdam niyad, we may destroy them with our hands. Taisus points out that stepping on them, however, is prohibited. It can bring to aniyus, to poverty. So in any case, this is a right of Yochanan. We make that distinction between various sizes of food remnants. Okay, so according to Beis Shammai, we clean first, we wash second. According to Beis Hillel, we wash first and clean second. Says, what is this based on? What is the root of this machlokes? Beis Hillel savri osalish tamish v'shamish ha'aretz. One may not use the services of a shamish, of an ignoramus shamish, and therefore, certainly the shamish will be knowledgeable and know to remove the larger food items from the table prior to ma'im achronim. So there's no concern. Beis Shammai savri no mutalish tamish v'shamish ha'aretz. One may use the services of a shamish ha'aretz. Therefore, he might not necessarily know to remove the food items. Therefore, We'll almost make sure, clean up, and then do Mayim Achronim. So in summary, according to Beis Shammai, we are Mechavdim, we clean up and then we wash. Why? Because we're allowed to use a Shamash HaMa'aretz and we're concerned that food will be present. Therefore, Sliva first, so that the Mayim Achronim don't ruin the food. According to Beis Hillel, first we wash, and then we clean up, because we're not allowed to use a Shamash HaMa'aretz. And certainly the knowledgeable servant will clean away the food. Therefore, we wash first, and then we clean away the rest. Amar B'Yisrael Bar Chanina Amar Funa. Bekulei Pirkin, regarding all the disputes that we find in this parak, halacha Beis Hillel, the halacha follows Beis Hillel's opinion. Bar Meha, except for this one regarding the question of cleaning up before Mayim Achronim. In this case, the halacha Beis Shammai, because we went to clean up prior to Mayim Achronim. Says the Gemara, Rav Oisha, Mas Nifcha, he actually switched around the names of the opinions in this machlekes, that Beis Hillel are the ones that say that you clean up first. Says the Gemara, B'hanami halacha Beis Hillel. If so, even in this case, we follow like Beis Hillel, because indeed we meant to clean up before Mayim Achronim. Continues the Gemara, Beis Shammai Oimrim Ner Mozen. Rav Huna bar Yehuda, Ikla leBei Rava, he visited Rava's home. It was Matzah Shabbos, he was making Havdalah. Chazi leRava, he saw that Rava was making Havdalah, the Baruch, Absamim Bereisha. First he made the Baruch on the Absamim, and then later on the fire. So he challenged them, Amar le Michli, let's take a look. Beis Shammai Beis Hillel, Amar le Pligi. There's no dispute between Shammai and Beis Hillel regarding the bracha on the mar. Everybody agrees that the bracha on the flame is meant to be said first. The Snan, as we said in our Mishnah, Beis Shammai Oimrim Ner, Umazoin, B'samim v'Avdallah. Beis Hillel Oimrim Ner, Upsamim, Umazon Avdallah. So apparently all agree that Ner comes first. So why did you switch things around? Ani Rava Basrei, so Rava responded, Zu Divrei Rav Meir, this indeed is Rav Meir's version of events. Av Rav Yehuda, Rav Yehuda's presentation of the machlekes Beis Shammai Beis Hillel is entirely different. He said as follows: Lo nechlaku Beis Shammai Beis Hillel. There's no discussion, there's no dispute. Ala Mazon Shubat Chila. The first item is Brachos HaMazon, Val Havdalah Shubat Soif. Havdalah is meant to be recited last. Al Ma nechlaku. What is the machlekes? Ala Amor Val Absamim. Beis Shammai Ala Amor and then Vachach B'samim. Beis Hillel B'samim and then Mor. Va'Amar Rabbi Yochanan. The prevalent custom is indeed Ki Beis Hillel Ali B'Rab Yehuda. We follow the sheet of Beis Hillel in accordance to the way it was presented by Rav Yehuda, and so according to Beis Hillel, what comes first? First comes B'samim and then Mar. That's exactly what I did. Continues the Gemara. We have a machlekes between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel regarding the bracha on the flame. Beis Shammai say Shebara Ma'oira Eish, and Beis Hillel say Boirei Ma'oirei Ha'eish. Explains the Gemara. Amar Rabba. Bara, when you say the word bara, kuli amle pligi, everybody agrees that it means the past. The bara mashma, it's referring to the past. Ki pligi, the discussion between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel is only what is the machlekes with the word boirei, which has a present tense connotation. Beis Shammai savri, boirei de asad lemivra. Boirei is really referring to the future. It's also referring to the future. It's the present, but it's also ongoing. Hashem creates and recreates and continues to create. Therefore, it's not appropriate to be used for the bracha on the flame where we're thanking Hashem for the past, for having created the flame. Beis Hillel savri, boirei nami de bara not mashma. Bara can also mean the past, and therefore it is appropriate for this bracha. Moisei Rav Yosef has a kasha. We find psukim where the word boirei is certainly referring to the past. Yoitzer oyer boirei choshech, yoitzer harim boirei ruach, boirei hashamayim v'noiteyam. So we see boirei reference to the past. Elam Rav Yosef, the bara, the boirei, regarding bara or boirei, there's no question. Everybody agrees. Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel both agree it's also referring to the past and would be suitable for this bracha. Ki pligi, the discussion of machlekes is ma'oir regarding the second part of the bracha. Should one say ma'oir, which is a singular term lashon yachid, or ma'oirei, which has a plural meaning? The Beis Shammai savri, there's one illumination in the fire. Therefore, use the word boirei. Beis Hillel savri, there are many illuminations. Rashi has many colors in a fire, and therefore the term ma'irei is more appropriate. Many expressions of the fire. There's a brayso which says as well that Beis Hillel told Beis Shammai, we were meant to say ma'irei. Why? Because the fire contains many illuminations, many colors, many expressions. Therefore, ma'irei is more appropriate. It is a plural, a lashon rabim. Ma'irei ha'esh.